Okay, we've talked about what we're going to do and why. We've talked about working from our mid-tones down to our darks and then from our mid-tones up to our lights. We've talked about putting the right colours in the right places, in the right shapes, relevant one to another. So if I'm putting this yellow ochre on here, wherever that is, it's got to go in. So there's a little bit here, there, wherever it is, it's got to go in. For those of you that have already painted the background of that, you'll find you just have to wait for the next colour. Leave that one on. We can put it over if you want a bit more pure. Right, to get started then. You've got your paint on the paper. Make sure you get this bit right. Everybody watching, yeah. Use the roller through the brush. Don't waste the paint on your brush. So use it through the brush until you get a nice, even texture like that. So it's even all over here. Now, when you get more advanced in this and want to explore, you can have several colours on the go and get all sorts of stripes and blotches and all sorts of fun effects. So, you know, the thing is to have fun. Because what are you going to waste? You can use it on paper, you can use it on card, bits of mount card, anything you like. You need to explore and you need to take a risk. We don't have an adventure without risk, because that's what adventure is about. Otherwise it's not an adventure, is it? It's just a normal day out. So we're going to have to risk making fools of ourselves, or I am with the next demo, as I was saying, with the pastel. We have to take risks to move forward. So in this case, you know, when I've done this and we've done this painting today, have fun at home and take it forward and try different effects of going one colour over another and whatever else. Now to put that on here, I've rolled through the brush, I've got a nice even coat. The harder that I roll, the more even the coat is going to be. And at first, when I first coat, I want fairly even textures. So if I press quite hard, yeah, if I go lightly, I get that effect. Now that effect means that if I do first coats, I can go back over them with another colour to get them glowing through or to blend them. Don't worry too much if you go slightly over. In fact, this is a bit darker, it's more like this colour here, so I must make sure I get it in the right place. And I'm going to go slightly over my edges, but when you're putting these first coats on, as long as you've got fairly dark lines to see, you can still see your colour underneath, your drawing underneath, sorry. Going to come down here, down that bit. Now I can use the edge of the roller, oops, I can use the edge of the roller as well, so I don't just have to use the roller flat on, I can use the edge to do quite a fine line, or even a curved line if it comes to it. Down here, a bit lighter there in a minute. Just using the edge of the roller, I can go quite fine, or I can curve it if I want, and I can go around it in circles or curves. It's quite versatile, the roller. Not using it too hard, just almost 2 fingers, pressure, it doesn't take much. Let's work up. The most awkward part with these is you've got these things in the way all the time, you've got to keep moving. But I want to put this colour wherever it is, a little bit down there, a little bit down there. And immediately things start to happen, but we're painting very abstractly. It is a figurative painting, but let's remember that all figurative paintings are made up from abstract things, they're just colours and shapes. And we'll recognise them as something else, which often you'll see in an abstract painting, like looking in the clouds and seeing a face. You know, an abstract painting could suddenly look like something when you take it further. Now that's, you know, it's about that colour over here, up and through. You see how far it can go? It can go quite a long way. And I deliberately chose this size canvas so we have plenty of time today to build this up. You can't go wrong with acrylics really, because you can paint over them. So we can tighten up on these edges with the brush afterwards. We're just going to paint loosely at first. We want an effect of light. We want the thing to be a whole. So I'll paint this one. That comes right down and goes and turns into more orange down there. At the end of the tape. Now also you can use the sponge sideways. Look, I can rub in with it. I take some paint with the brush again. I can rub with the roller sideways, and I can even use my finger to work it out. So you haven't just got to use the brush that way, or edgeways, you can smudge across with it. Let's just fill some of his shoulders there with smudging across, yeah? Or I can get a cleaner coat that way, which is some textures. And it's this beauty of texture that we want to try today. And those lasses doing the seascapes, it's the same thing, because you can build the base of the sea up with these and gradually blend them one across another. You get the effects of distant waves just by going a little bit lighter across the top. So that's why I brought you the paper, so you can try on the paper first. Okay, now if I want to move on from there, and I'm still going downward, I'm going to go upwards in a minute. The next colour down for me, that's the yellow ochre. I guess, what's the next colour? We've got oranges that are quite deep tone there, we've got this quite dark tone here. Let's do the oranges next. Now I'm deliberately not going to change, I'm not going to wash the brush. I'm going to go straight down to my chrome yellow on here. Put a bit straight into it, you can do it on the side if you want. you'll be surprised that we don't need to wash the roller each time. And again, roll through the brush. And it's there. It hasn't ruined your next coat, has it? Because you haven't used too much. So that's the chrome again. We're coming down to this colour here now. A bit more orange than that in a minute. Now it's much darker than that, so I'm going to go right through here. I'm going to change my colour in a moment. There. Now let's add some colour to that. I want to go a bit warmer, so I want to go more towards the cadmium orange. So, quite hard now because I want a flatter area. And I can blend that in the fingers if I want. Look. So be versatile. There's no cheating in this. This doesn't, you know, it's like I had students coming to me in the past, they wanted to do loose watercolour because they've been taught so stiff, and they're going to, and my teacher, I'm quoting somebody from Billington years ago, my teacher said I've got to paint the washes only left to right. Oh, you know, it's so rigid. We do something loose like this where we use acrylic inks or so on, and well, I start off with this and we paint very, very loosely, wet into wet at first. And they don't realise what they're doing because they're seeing an end product in their mind. They're seeing the picture that we're painting at the end. But I've got them painting loosely at first, and they don't realise what's going on. And they get 2/3 of the way through and I say, right, stop. Now just come and have a look. And they've got this beautiful semi-abstract painting. And they would never have done it if I said, let's do it abstract. And then they realise, you know, that there's no one, there are things that don't work, but there are just so many ways of painting. And students come to me, I don't want to paint your way, Pete, I don't want to paint impressionist. Fine, I'll teach you any way you want. It's your choice. The difficulty is fighting yourselves. Because some of you are naturally impressionists and some of you are naturally photorealists. And if you're fighting who you naturally are, it's difficult. One lady's husband was very abusive actually towards her, and the only person I've ever had like it, but she was doing beautiful semi-impressionist pieces with us. All the other students, fantastic. And then she come back next week and just ruined them. Because her husband was an architect, of course, wanted everything in detail and everything, and criticised and criticised. And she was torn between the pillar and the post. Right, leave that like that for the minute, I'll let you get on. And the next colour I'm going on to is these warmer oranges and down to the greeny browns, okay? So I'll have to wash my roller. Don't let your rollers dry out, so you'll be using them fairly constantly. Make sure your rollers don't dry out. A greener colour. I'm going to take some yellow ochre. And a little bit of blue, to take some of the cobalt blue into that.
Which blue was that?
Cobalt.
Right, what I've done then, on my yellow ochre from previously, I've added a little bit of cobalt blue there, and I've just come into it with a little bit of the red. We're looking at the colour here, look. Yeah, this colour here, yeah. So yellow ochre, a little bit of the cobalt blue and a touch of that red, and I should just about be there. Now, test it with your brush first if you're not sure. I'll put a bit of that just there. That's about right, isn't it? Perhaps a touch more blue? Because the yellow and the blue will make a type of green, and this is a sort of greeny. That's a bit better, look. Might want a little bit warmer, so put a bit more of the red in. Now I'm going to take my roller through that. Putting it on top of the paint. Painting it first. Very quickly our painting forms. It's amazing. Using this technique, people think, oh, what a mess at first. I remember doing this sort of technique years ago in a different way. I was working at Burton Agnes Hall doing a summer season there, and July. And I was working oils over acrylics, which you can do. You can't put acrylics over oils, but you can put oils over acrylics. And for the speed I wanted to work, 24-30 canvas, I need to finish within 2 to 3 hours to catch the light and the time of the day. So you can do an underpainting outdoors with the acrylics, let it dry off in a matter of 10 minutes, and then slap on the oils afterwards. So you've got all of your backgrounds in, and then you put the details on really brightly and strongly with the oils. I didn't have these acrylics then. And people came through looking at it first, and there was just this mass of colour, and oh, yeah, what a mess, you know. And then they came back half an hour later, and same painting, loose to tight. You're in control. These lovely effects. I want to go to this white canvas as soon as I can, because I really want to get the colours on. Separate amateurs often when they're painting, kids especially, you see them doing it, brown tree, blue sky, green grass. You know, they don't look at the different warms and cools, and they just separate them out into a jigsaw, and it looks just like that. Pieces actually cut out of the paper. But we want to see what colours are reflecting into another. So I'm going to bring this dark into here a bit. Start to get just how lightly I went with that. One touch, one mark can change your entire painting, especially towards the end. Just one colour. And very often, if you take this as a tip, if you're struggling with your painting and something seems wrong and you can't find it, almost a 99% it's not the thing you think is wrong, it's something near it. So go and look around. Painting a sunrise at Bridlington Harbour once, many years ago, and I wasn't thinking about this warm and cool, the hues, and I was trying to make the sunrise warmer and warmer and warmer, and I couldn't do it. What am I? Idiot. It's the opposite. Light against dark, warm against cool. I had to add more cools into the picture to make the existing warm seem warmer. So not the thing you thought was wrong, the thing next to it. So you know, this is opposite to yellow. So this is going to suddenly shine against these yellows. Those slats starting there. We want an effect. We want an impression. We're doing an impressionist painting. What we want is the effect of it, keep it loose, alive, and about painting. We're not recreating a photograph, that's not what this is about. It's to have the atmosphere of that Provence street at night, the feeling of it, the light, the movement. It's alive, it's not a copy of a photograph. One more colour before I go on to my darks, because I'm going to start working down to my final dark, so I want to get that blue in next, and then I'm going to go down to the black. So I might as well go that far for you, because you can see it's just two colours so far. So then do the next two, so we'll just get down to the darkest darks, yeah? Shouldn't take long. Just get in these. Now I need to make sure that I'm covering now, that I don't have any white canvas left showing, unless I want it somewhere. I'm going with my finger and really just blend it down, and then that colour shows out against the warmer purples. See here, look, it's there. You've got to look to find it. All art is about observation, isn't it? You've really got to look to see what you're doing. Is there a bit more of that blue here? Yes, there is. I'm going to put some little stripes across here. You might have seen that coming into here. It's a bit of cool that's coming in here. But it makes the warms warmer. Right, now I'm going to go to my... let's have a little bit more blue across the sky here. It's just coming across slightly like that. There we go. Now let's go down to my black. And I could go to the... I think... What was I going to do next? I was going to put the light. I think I really should put the reds in and then the black at the end, because that's going from my mid-tones down to my darkest. Then we'll go back to the light. So I'm going to do the reds now. And there's two different reds going on here. They're both fairly warm reds. That's a bit more magenta in here. This is a very warm sort of cadmium red. And this one goes more purpley, slightly magenta-y. So let's start off with the darker one. I'm going to try and get away without washing the brush again, and the roller again. The darker of the two is going to be magenta and red, and the lighter is the cadmium. Let's just put some pure cadmium on the thumb, and I'll come back across with the lighter red. We'll see the difference in these colour hues. I'm really enjoying colours today. I say, it's such a miserable time this time of year, that to be doing a Mediterranean scene now is great fun. Don't worry the sea status, I'll come back to you in a minute. I haven't forgotten you. You might even do that as a burnt sienna, but let's have a look at the difference in this. Here we are, there's a nice dark, cooler one. Wherever they are, it's on your roller, on your brush, put them in if they're there. Right, having got that effect. I'm taking now the cadmium red, just putting some other colour on there, and a little bit of the chrome yellow, quite a bright red. That's how that goes. Wow. Now you see the difference in that lovely deep cool red to the brighter one. So a bit more cadmium into that. Really bright orangey red. A bit more bit more cadmium made into this yet. When we put the lights in, it will just come to life, it will really start to sing. If you've forgotten what colours we've used, we'll go back to it again, don't worry. So it's been that warm right away. I want to lose the together. But if you're going to use black and white, and it can be very, very effective, as it will be here, try to use the black at the very end normally. I'm going to put it in now to give you an idea, because we're really not getting down to our darks. But if you use white, you can't go lighter, you've had it, you're stuffed. So if you use your white at the very, very end, for sparkles in water for instance, if all your water sparkles have been done with pure colours, creams, pinks, light blues, and then at the very, very end you come in with the few bits of white just to bring them out, it will make the very light colours look like colours. If you don't put the white in, they won't. Putting black in will make the very, very dark colours look like dark colours. Without that black, they won't. So it's useful to have them both at the end if you require them, but don't start painting. Photographs are terrible for this. Photographs tend to bleach out the whites. In here, I'm going to use some white, pure white at the end, but I'm not going to start with the white. White's at the end. So then I'm going to put the blacks in now. I'm going to leave white to the very, very end. The very, very, very end. Let's put some black in the black. We're just going to see what the black does to bring these dark colours out. So again, let's see what we can do with that. You see the difference it's going to make. We want this window here. So a little bit that way, and that way. And look how those colours suddenly start to sing out, because I can't go darker than that. I have got the colours glowing through it. I haven't gone over it completely and just lost everything. I've just let it glow through there. And we could use a brush on this bit, don't worry, if that's what you want to do, but the back of his head now, I want that to be dark. And the back of the chair really wants to be done with a brush, but I'm just going to mark it in. With the dark at the moment, I'm going to put some light in between, so I want to put the light over that. You start seeing the picture forming. And the side of his shoulder here. So that's taking me down to my darkest darks, and I can refine this with a brush later. Let's not worry about it. Cross fix. Okay, you can see where I'm going with it, can't you? You can see all those lights have to go back in. So next, when we've got this far, I'm going to start from the middle tones. I'm going to go from these orangey colours here, back up into these light yellows, and then finally to the whites. And after that, we've got all the atmosphere and the light in, we turn to our brushes, and we slap those lovely colours on. Have a go.
No, not the lemon.
Yes, we're going to lemon later. We're going to do the light yellows next, in fact. That's lovely, isn't it? See the way that's working, yeah? Yeah. Lovely colours, that's the way. Yes, get into those lovely warms and good. That's the way. Just find those colours and look for the warms and cools, and you can see now why I didn't choose two. So what I want to do now, we've got now to, we have got these lighter yellow colours to come out, but the medium colours of them. So I've got the golden yellow to come out more, I've got the either process or lemon yellow to come out more, and then finally the whites to go in. So I'm just using the two yellows at the moment, the cadmium or the chrome, and then the lemon yellow, and then lemon yellow and white, and that should give me enough to then be ready to come in with pure colour afterwards, okay? And this is to say, this is just a textural effect of light in the background. When we start to slab in these details and colours, ever so simply, we want, if one mark can do the job, we want that rather than 10 marks. It's better to have one correct mark than 10 wrong ones. It's just in the drawing. Right, let's see what we can do. So I'm going to take the deeper yellow first, so the chrome yellow. Texture, I don't want to put too heavy a paint on yet. let's start to lose these areas. I can just go in with those complete. I'm just leaving the odd white bit here and there, just so I know where I am, because as you've already seen, it's easy to get lost on this, isn't it? So I know that that bit there is that bit there. I just want to mark them just lightly, just so I know where things are. And suddenly now, as I start to put these medium and lighter colours on, the whole thing is going to start making. If I go around that with the head, you see that brings it out. So we can go around things as well as painting within them. We can cut around things as much as possible. So I can cut around this figure here and get the feel of it. And that's as important to be doing the cutting around bits like this. So these bits, I'm drawing with the roller now, I'm actually drawing in these shapes. I've got some more red to put in the background there, but I can do that with the brush in a minute. The idea is to lose all of this white now. See it suddenly coming. As we do these last colours, it's just I think the end of a painting is usually the best time for me, because what happens painting in this way, when I come to the end of the painting, I'm not painting with paint anymore. I feel I'm actually painting with light, because I'm putting in now, as I go along, all of the highlights, and these highlights are gorgeous. Can you see behind me all right? Move if you can't.
I've painted a painting on your back, you're all right.
You're not saying I've got a big backsider?
No, I said your back. Used it as a canvas.
So I'm now cutting around things as well as painting within them, just to get the feeling of various shapes. Something lighter and lighter. Tablecloth comes down here, I can start going in between the chair here now. I'll use a brush for the detail of this, but I just want to pick up. That's my medium yellows. Just little flicks, just indicating where trying to put the right colours and the right shapes in the right places. The angles are right with my roller. If you can't do it with the edge of the roller like this, well, wait and do it with a brush. It's perfectly alright, whatever you feel at home with. If you can get these textures now, it's going to be better for you. You'll see why when I do it in a minute. Because we'll be able to play the harder colours against the using these different yellows now, going through from the chrome yellow right through to lemon yellow with white. come down to that colour there in a minute. I think I'm going to, yeah, I've missed that colour out. Now that one is going to be, it's a very deep browny orange, so to get that I'm going to need to use the deep red, a little touch of purple probably, and maybe a wee touch of magenta. Let's see what I can do with that before I come back on with the white. I'll just wash my roller out, change colours to it and then come back to the white. Right, that colour, let's see if I can make it. So test it on your canvas first. When you've done it with the roller, test it. Sorry, with the mixer, test it first. Let's see then. So if I take some yellow ochre, some deep red, there must be some more red in that. And it's got to be taken down more, so that's alright. Yellow ochre. That should be about right. Let's just test it and see. If that's not there. So just test it first. It needs to be slightly green, but I'll take a little bit of blue just to kill it down a fraction. I might even put some magenta over that. That's what we've got.
Your thing's sliding on that.
Ah.
Your easel.
Can I just kick it?
Yeah.
Kick the bucket. Let's get rid of this. I wish I had no erasers that I've got them. Then the whites. And when I put these whites in, it's all going to change. Stay. One of those days. Right, and so here, there's another red. You can see how thinly I'm using the paint now. I'm just letting the other colours glow through, so we've got an effect of light. And we're almost there now. It's just the heavier bits of red, of light to go in. So I'll just do that. And here. And there. Here. Right. Wash the roller out, and I'm looking to put the white on, and that is as far as I need to go with the rollers. We've got the effect of light, and then the fun comes. I'm going to do this bit of white, and I'm just going to slap some red in just to show you how much fun the last bit's going to be. You've just got to get to this stage. If you can get to this stage today and have half an hour left, you'll manage. Right. This should make a hell of a difference. You see how it comes out? Now we really get these effects of light. And this is just the sponge roller, and the reason I'm using, if you can't manage in the end, don't worry, you use your brushes, but if we can get the basic effects, so we'll just go on there, and I'm going to come back onto there in a minute with a brush. Just try and get the angles right. I feel the way this light shines down and across. So this means that as far as I'm concerned, the underpainting is about done. Now I'm just going to do a couple of bits of overpainting just to show you how it's going to work. Just a small brush, slightly small brush. I'm going to use a flat for this because I literally want slabs of colour. Use a bit more red. Grab some more red. Photograph. Now I want to start slabbing colour in, so let's take this for instance here and take some red and heavily, not thinning out on the brush, just really heavily plaster, trying to get it in one stroke, plaster these colours in. See the difference in that? Nice heavy gungy paint, delicacy of touch. The beauty of these brushes that I'm selling, these nylons is that they're heavy enough to move the body, but they're not so stiff like a hog's hair that it lifts the body off. Now, a watercolour brush would clog up with this, doing this state, and a hog's hair brush wouldn't put it on. It would tend to probably take up as much as putting on. Nice big areas of paint. You can blend if you want.
You've got palette knives as well.
Yes, if you want to use a painting knife for this you could, but I think you'll find that just slabbing on with the square brushes is your safest bet, because you've got more control, haven't you? So you see the slabbing the colours on like that, it's lovely, it's great fun. We can come into details and using a square brush, a flat brush as well, although you can do it with filberts. If we want to do areas like these, particularly deep purple, I just want to start marking disillusions, don't so getting the right perspective, I'm just going to mark in these, the feeling of these slats here. Just indicating them, don't try and paint every single one in exactly. Just indicating the rooftops, the shapes, there's some darker colour like black here, and I'll just indicate that in. So we're painting the highlights now, where these chair legs are. We'll just indicate a few chair legs there, not do too much. Side of her head, for instance. And there, that's where these chairs come here. Keep it very simple, loose, and gradually tighten up until you feel you're happy. One of the most difficult things in the painting like this is doing faces, and if you do get them wrong, you want to keep it to just a few simple brush marks. And if you do get it wrong and start overworking, it sounds like a sore thumb. You've got to get it done in a few strokes. Let's get back into our range again. And then from here on, I've been working up gradually, just making these velvet marks in the right places. Just finding perspective in here. You get the idea?
Yep.
And then let it dry and you can tighten it what you want. But this is the idea, is to be able to plaster these. Now let's go for those whites again. So I didn't quite finish off. I did them with the roller. Let's just say I now want to paint those really light, pure white lights in. And we've got one just here. Some pure paint, nice and thick, nice light cream. A bit of blue around there, yes, I want to come in with. Not quite down there. So I wanted to just bring that out slightly. Very light blue. This is where you can start, when you get to this stage and you've just got this far, you can come back in with other colours and really start to try and find those other colours as well. You can see the light blue around there, the more green around here. I can start to tidy this up and pull my colours out. Fun. See if we can get to that stage. Rest of the afternoon. Right. Now if you're doing moving water, yep. Also when you can slab on the pure colour, that'll make a difference, won't it? And yeah, when you get those pure colours on. Right, yes. It's a lovely picture, that one there. No, cadmium orange is a bit... I'm finding there's a bit more green in this at the end as well. I'm just pulling my colours together and checking them out. And
That's that one. Squeeze it.
I'm adding more colour to mine now. I'm putting in some of these really strong magentas and so on. If you come up and have a look at mine when you've done yours and you see a colour you haven't got, ask me and I'll find it for you. And put it into your, or to try them out. I've about done mine as I want to do it. I'm not going much stronger with mine now. It just wants to be nice and loose. It's knowing when to finish as well. You don't have to overdo it. Yes, that's come on very well. Are you happy? Do twist it as you go so you don't get the same pattern. If you can get yourself a large one of those, you that's not coming on. That's the way, slap it on. Don't cover all your underpainting up, but Right, no hiding your faces behind the paintings. Nice big smiles. Hello camera. Well done everybody. You've got to be pleased with them, haven't you? I mean, all of you have done well. When you get back from them, we don't realise you're painting because they're impressionist pieces look a bit rough. When you get back, you can see what's happening. And I think you've learned a lot today. So you can finish them at home or whatever you want to do, or as they are. They will need varnishing. They'll look a lot better varnished. And they say, if you want me back next year, you can do something different like water and crust. You actually do see sketches. Anyway, have a think about it and let me know for the future. Well, here's a wee painting I did at Nafferton yesterday on the workshop, and I just want to brighten this up a little bit more. In daylight now I can see I want the yellows a little bit stronger, the yellows tend to sink. So I'm just going to come back in with a few yellows very loosely into it, just to brighten it a bit more, and we'll call that a day. Well, I think that will do that. It's lively enough and bright enough now. I don't think I need to add any more to that really. Just touch a few little bits up here and there, but that's about it. Well, in a week or so's time I'm going to be there doing a demonstration for them of a completely different technique. I'll be doing acrylic inks, pastels, water and pastels on a couple of large parrots going through a jungle. How different can you get to that?